Okay, what is up, everybody? We are live. Welcome to your daily dose of awesome. Your live 50 minutes of daily motivation, inspiration, and education so you can get your day started right. Today we have a special daily dose. I'm here with my buddy Rob Sperry, a networking expert, and we're here to talk about what he knows best, and that's network marketing, but in the context of a very special specialization. What's up, Rob? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be on. The last time I saw you, we were hanging out in Las Vegas at an event, and that was several months ago. And I know lots happened since then. And so I'm very appreciative that I get the chance anytime to be interviewed by you. As long as the questions are good, I never know with you. You could surprise me with some curveballs.
Well, I mean, if Vegas is any indication, under the influence of tequila and beer, those are the questions you can expect from me right now. so, so Rob, I'm gonna do a quick intro. Let everyone here who's new to our broadcast know who we are. People are rolling in as we speak. I'm sure you can see it on your phone. I'm just gonna do a little thing here. Hey, what's up, everybody? If you don't know who we are, my name is Fernie Ceballos. I'm a lead generation online marketing expert specializing in helping home business owners as network marketers, affiliate marketers, direct sellers multiply their incomes using the internet. I built my first six-figure network marketing business within a couple years of discovering the information we teach here at Elite Marketing Pro. And over the past 10 years, I've personally been responsible for over $1.5 million, or $15 million in gross income into my home businesses. And I've helped our clients produce hundreds of millions of dollars more collectively in their businesses as well. So what we do and teach works. And one of the foundational principles of what we teach has everything to do with relationships. We may be all about technology. We're all about helping people use the internet and use internet marketing strategies and social media recruiting strategies. But fundamentally, those things wouldn't work if it's not for what you're going to hear about today here with Rob. So with that said, I'm going to skip the rest of our formal introduction and hop right into the content. I know that people are excited. In fact, I'm going to check right now on Facebook to see if we are live. Rob, did you already check to see if we're live?
We're live. I already checked. I already shared it. If you end up sharing this, I'll do my best to go comment and reply, drop a share in the comments, but we are live. We're good to go.
Awesome, man. Well, I will take your word for it because my phone is loading slowly. So, let's hop in. So, Rob, our community, so we have a lot of new people on, and I'm sure we have people that are regular viewers of our broadcast. But if you don't mind, real quick, sharing with people, what your background is, who you are, and why you're awesome, man.
Yeah, that sounds really comfortable. Let me tell everybody why I'm awesome.
Yes.
So, I think everybody obviously has their own story. Everybody has their strengths. Everybody has their weaknesses. And part of my story is really I'm naturally an introvert. Fernie knows it when we're just in person and everything, hanging out. I'm naturally very soft-spoken. I always feel like right now I feel like I'm yelling just to talk normal. I'm not shy. I'm an ambitious introvert. I'm just chill. And that's my personality. And so growing up, I was a tennis guy. I ran a tennis club. I did that. I taught tennis. I played collegiate tennis. I played semi-professional tennis. I transitioned into the network marketing industry 9 years ago. And I started out full time, which as we know is most of the time a mistake. Most of the time you're going to transition into this business. You're going to use your job to pay your bills. You're going to use this business to build your dreams. But I transitioned really, really quickly. Had a lot of highs, had a lot of lows, but I became the top recruiter in a multi-billion-dollar company for 3 years. There are about 1 million distributors. And I don't attribute it to me being anything special. I actually attribute it to me being very coachable because I was so scared of failing, because I knew I was naturally an introvert. So I was very coachable. I had a great mentor, and I outworked everybody. My first month in this business, my first 3 weeks actually, was August 2008. I called 250 new people, right? 250 people to really make this business go into launch. And my conversion rate was about 12%. So it's not that it was that high, it's that I took a lot of action. And so most people go through those highs and lows like this. I was like that, really, really, high, low. And I just went through those very, very quickly. And so that's where I got started in the industry. And then I had a company that ended up doing over $3 billion in sales that asked me if I would create a new brand, almost like a new company, a new subculture. It was a new back office, new products, new everything. And so I went and did that. I created that for them. I was a hybrid consultant, as well as I was leading the field, leading that charge. And so I was both distributor and consultant, and did that. That was a great experience. And through that, I ended up merging a couple companies together in 2015, which is now known as the largest merger in network marketing. It sounds big. It didn't feel big. It was more of just putting people together. And that was a great experience. And then I sold out of that business just over a year ago. And since then, I've done a lot of just coaching, a lot of consulting, a lot of speaking, and a lot of that stuff. So that is the short version of everything. And so I really feel, I know it sounds cliche, but cliches are cliches for a reason. But I really feel like if I can do it, anybody can do it, because I couldn't even speak in front of anybody very well for about 3 years. And that's how bad I was. I felt like I was the person that had my hands in my pocket and was so soft-spoken. And people are like, you got to smile, you got to speak up, you got to make sure that your tone goes up at times for points of emphasis, and then scales down a little bit. So it's been absolutely a fun journey so far.
Awesome, man. Well, you've been working on some pretty cool projects recently. One of those projects that I'm holding in my hand, your brand new book, The Game of Networking. So this was I was reading through this over the past week, and awesome content. But what inspired you to write a book that was kind of positioned in this light, that positions your expertise and what you've been able to accomplish in network marketing in a way that revolves around, networking? It's like, it's kind of silly. No one's ever written a book in network marketing about networking, even though that's essentially what the game is about.
That's the exact reason why I wrote it. I'm naturally a networker, in the sense, as I told you, I'm an introvert. And so I feel like I'm not the person that's going to come in and just light up a room, and I can't do it alone. I've always known that, right? So you can make your weaknesses and you can turn them into strengths. I really believe in that. And so I always won by networking. And so I was the person that, would have those strong relationships and friends. And as I started a tennis program, I ended up having, before I ran a tennis club, I had 250 different kids that showed up to my own tennis program. And this was at age 23 years old. And so I transitioned, ran a tennis club. I doubled and tripled that revenue through networking. And so as I started in network marketing, I kept asking the question, like, okay, how do you network? And every single time they'd be like, oh, network marketing? I said, no, you keep teaching me how to be a professional salesperson. And you keep telling me that what works is what duplicates. And trying to teach everybody to become a professional salesperson doesn't duplicate. It doesn't work. There's certain skills we need to learn, but we need to keep things very, very simple. We need to teach people how to network better. And I love what you guys do. You guys teach people about social media and branding, because that can help teach them how to network better. And so I literally got frustrated, because every single time I asked someone, they'd give me a good idea, but they never had a formula, and there was nothing in sequence. So then I started buying every book I could, and I couldn't find a book that gave a formula for networking, right? Even non-network marketing. There were ideas, there were concepts. It was like a smorgasbord of ideas. There was never ever, you do this, and this, and you're gonna master networking. So then I went to every successful person I knew, not in network marketing. Same thing. It was like, oh yeah, you could do this, and this is important. They had to think about it. And the next time I'd ask them, they'd come up with something completely different. And so just like you said, I'm like, this is silly. Everybody knows the value of networking, but why is there no formula, nothing set? And so I literally spent 8 years, Fernie, just collecting notes on, I said, I'm going to write a book on this. And I thought it would take me a year or two, but I just collected notes. Every single time I read a book, I'm an avid reader. My first 18 months in network marketing, I read 100 books. And so everything, I just kept thinking like, okay, how does this apply to networking? And every time I'd ask people questions, I just took notes. I had hundreds of pages of notes. And then I went and had to obviously slim it down, edit it. And I went and sat down with a 13-time author, multimillionaire, speaker, coach, just friend of mine. And we went and sat down at Paradise Bakery. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Paradise Bakery, but we sat down there for 4 hours and literally just hashed through all the content and said, okay, with all this great content, what's the formula? And do you need to do this? And does that cover everything? And so we went to the first law, and then we went to the second law. Is that everything? We're like, no, there's all these great topics and information that don't, that don't fit in law number 1 or 2. So then we created law number 3, and we thought we were done. So we spent an hour challenging it. And then after that, we decided that there was one last little law that people forget about. And that's why we called it the 3.5 laws rather than the 4 laws, because we felt like that was kind of almost the forgotten law. And so I did that. I finished it over a year ago. And then I sent it to over 100 different $1 million earners. And that was I felt like a mistake almost for a second, but in the end, it helped me a ton. And then I spent another year taking all the edits and suggestions from these $1 million earners, and finally took it, summed it up, created a book. And then my wife got rid of, I don't know, it was well over 100 pages. She said, you don't want a book just to fill content. Like, you got to, and maybe, I don't know your thoughts on it, Fernie, but I just tried to cut out all the fluff and just make everything just flow straight to the point, edit. Anything that didn't fit, even if I thought it was a good story, I just took it out. So 95% of the content is for anyone. It doesn't matter if you're network marketing or not. I took 5% of the content and purposely catered it to those in the network marketing industry to help them relate to, how do you network? How do you never run out of contacts? How do you turn strangers into friends? How do you better use social media? All those different things. So there's your long-winded answer. And before you go into things, I just want to make sure people show Fernie some love because of everything he does, the value he provides to this wonderful industry. We need more people like him and what these guys do. And so if you love Fernie, please drop your favorite emoji in the comments below so that we can go back and we can see that love, and Fernie's shown that love that he well deserves. So I'll keep my mouth shut and you can keep asking.
Thanks, man. That's really cool. So you talked about the laws, the 3.5 laws. Can you go over briefly what those laws are? And I know they're in your book, of course, and I'm going to tell everybody to find your book on Amazon.com, The Game of Networking. And it's actually a very easy read, but an extremely valuable read. I was actually surprised by some of the content here, because you're not only speaking to, in your laws, you're not only speaking to what works in the fundamentals of traditional network marketing. You talk a lot about, networking in the modern era. And so if you briefly could go over what the laws are, and then also speak on how it is you've applied what you've done and what you know to what's available today through social media and technology.
Absolutely. So successful people just do the basics better. And everybody always wants a secret sauce strategy. And the goal is to take really deep content, simplify it, but then create principles everybody can do. And so the very, very, very first law, just think of this, think of networking to start to really challenge the theory of who would you refer, right? I mean, that's the ultimate, if you're going to refer someone and give a referral, that is the ultimate sign of respect, ultimate sign of trust, ultimate sign of networking. So law number 1, we challenged it and we said, law number 1 is the law of likability. If somebody isn't likable, you don't care how good they are. You don't care about anything else. You don't really want to refer them. You don't really want to do business with them. You don't really want your friends to do business with them. And so I go into is what I did is I started kind of studying it. I started buying a lot of books on likability, and I thought this is an easy one. But I saw there were a lot of things that I could do a lot better. For example, I smile a ton more as I am right now when I meet people, and when I'm talking with people, when I'm doing Facebook Lives. And so I'll go into specific things on how likable are you, and you can challenge it. And I go through specific things that we've learned on body language. And so I go in depth on things that, people tell me as they read the book. I thought I knew all this basic stuff, but I never ever knew, as I read this book, like the in-depth concepts on body language. And so now they feel like they're more consciously aware. I mean, I had a good friend that owned $1 billion company that called me right after he read that. He's like, I thought this would just be common sense. This is great. I'm having all my kids read it. So that's law number one. Now, it doesn't matter how likable somebody is. If they don't have law number two, you won't refer them. And law number two would be the law of credibility. And so think about that. We all have that friend and family member who you love to death, but you would never refer them. You would never refer them to do business because they don't have the credibility. And so I talk about the value of that. I talk about the value of just prove one thing in your life to create credibility. And I teach you how to parlay that one thing into anything else. And I teach you how to create leverage even if you don't have credibility. And so I go through a lot of those concepts and talk about that and give some good examples and good analogies of the power of it and how you can accomplish that and use shared or borrowed credibility. The next thing would be the law of recallability. Now, what's recallability? Okay, so think about this. They may be likable and credible, but why would you not do business with someone? Why would you not network with somebody? And this one, I really think is the biggest difference between good networkers and great networkers. So think about that. Good networkers are likable and credible, but great networkers are recallable. Recallable is front of mind. There's somebody you're going to think of. So if Fernie, let's say Fernie, I'm like, Fernie is just the best. He's got the greatest coaching program in the world. But if I haven't seen Fernie on social media, if I haven't talked to Fernie in 10 years, if Fernie isn't front of mind for me, then we won't network. So I talk about in the law of recallability, a lot of little things you can do to stay in touch with people. I go through a lot of concepts, in-depth concepts of the value of social media, how to use social media. So I'm bridging old school principles. Principles last forever, remember that, in these laws. And what I'm doing is I'm applying them to modern day networking, not just network marketing. I mean, a good friend, Jordan Adler, you know, who's sold, I don't know how many millions of copies of his incredible book. He said this is like the how to win friends, influence people, the modern day version. And those were his words of this book. So I go through that, a lot of recallability. So I thought I was done. I'm like, this is it. You know, that's it. That's how you network. And there was one last half law that was missing. And the half law was the law of profitability. So if you go and you try to network with somebody else and it's not a win-win and they're just taking advantage, and let's say you feel like you're equal value and they said, I'm going to give you $1, Fernie, and I'm going to take $1 million, it doesn't happen. Networking doesn't happen. You are a taker. You're not a giver. And so you need to create a win-win. And I go through different examples and I go through, you have to learn how to evaluate win-wins, because sometimes it's not just money. Sometimes it's the relationship, right? It's the connection with somebody else. And so it's not just always, the law of profitability isn't always just about money. Many times it isn't about that. And so those are a lot of the concepts, laws that we go through in this book. It's 109 pages. I think on a Kindle, it's like 153 pages or so. I've had a lot of top leaders that have told me they went through the book in a day and then they went back and marked it and took notes and that sort of thing. Just like Fernie said, very, very easy read. I tried to make it where it's not just motivational, even though motivation and inspiration is very important. I try to always teach how to throughout the book. So the first half talks about the value of it so you understand. And then the second part of each chapter will go through the how to, you can apply it and you can really just kind of see, oh, great, this is something I can pick up. This is something I can do better. So those are the 3.5 laws, Fernie.
Awesome, man. And we already have some people writing that they just bought the book. So guys, if you're don't even wait. Like while this broadcast is on and live, buy the book. Unless you're driving, don't do that. Don't go on the internet. But buy the book right now. I wanna see as many of you by the time this broadcast is over, letting me know that you've just bought the book on Amazon and you're getting it. I highly recommend it. Because here's the reason I recommend it. When usually what people are taught in network marketing, and the reason they basically come to people like me, is because they're frustrated with old school. They're tired of doing the old school stuff because they're accustomed to being taught that they need to walk around everywhere they go with an agenda. Everybody has a bullseye on the back of their head I need to, prospect that person. And what you actually do in the book, without even, bringing in the internet into the conversation until later, you actually alleviate that burden on them. That you don't have to walk around, even if you're doing things old school, you don't have to walk around all the time with an agenda or needing to prospect everybody. Can you speak a little bit about that? Because I thought that was probably the most important fundamental part of your book, because it applies to everything. Because it's what people hate about network marketing.
Yeah, so I was approached by 11 different network marketing companies. I live in Utah, the network marketing capital, right, of the world. And so for me, it was one of those things where I just thought I would never do it. I thought I'd never be a part of it. I was always approached the wrong way. I didn't want to be part of the NFL, right? If you don't want to be part of the NFL, drop an amen in the comments below. NFL's the no friends league, right? The no friends left. And so for me, it was just like people overhyping, people that would annoy me, people tell me I have to do this business, people that would end up after I said no, just keep calling me. And so I felt like there's this awkward phase where it's like, hey, stay away from me for about 6 months. When you get normal again and you end up quitting and failing in your network marketing business, call me. I didn't say that, but that's exactly what was going through my head. And so, that's how I got started in this industry, as eventually I found somebody that, was very successful. He's made $30 million in network marketing. He was a personal friend of mine. He was a personal mentor outside of network marketing. And so I looked at it and he said, Rob, he said 99.9% of people do it the wrong way. It's the blind leading the blind. It's clueless showing clueless how to become more clueless. These are his words, not mine. He said, so I'm going to teach you how to do it the right way. I'm going to teach you how you don't have to be that annoying network marketer. And so that's where I came from. And so that's what I try to teach in the book. And I go through that, not try, I do. That's what I teach specifically in the book. And so simple things. I teach you how to be bold and really approach somebody, but not be that annoying network marketer. I teach you things like, for me, I've never severed a friendship or relationship in network marketing. And so I teach you what I do when somebody says no. So I'll give you a couple tips. For me, I make sure I make a very conscious effort after somebody says no to me, that I reach out to them so that they know that we're still friends. And I reach out to them non-network marketing, just as a friend. I make sure as I network, as people are exposed to my business, that I keep their contact information. And I save that contact information of when I met them and how I met them. I make sure that I do all of these things where really what I'm teaching you is how to make friends, how to turn strangers into friends, how to maintain those friendships. And you're going to use a lot of modern day things like, Fernie's talking about. You're going to use a lot of things like social media. You're going to use things like, I make sure I'm sending out cards, sometimes thank you cards, thank you texts. Sometimes I'm making sure I'm sending out holiday cards constantly. I'm doing things that I'm making friends, and I'm doing things where I'm literally teaching people how to sell less. And I know everything in life is sales, right? You see my wife and you'll be like, dude, you totally sold yourself, right, to get married. Yes, I get that, right? But it's how to do it in an authentic way where people respect what you're doing and you don't annoy people. And so much so that, sometimes they come around, other times they don't, sometimes they refer you. But I promise you, if you do it the right way, eventually you create, as Fernie always teaches, right? You create pull marketing where people start coming to you, where you're like, I don't even have time to be able to reach out to all these contacts and stay in contact with them like that. And so I think that's the important principle of modern day network marketing done right, is not being that annoying MLMer. It's how to be a true networker. We teach too much how to become a professional salesperson rather than trying to teach people how to become a professional networker. Think about this. Imagine if everyone got in this business and they thought about this business, right, as Stephen Covey teaches in the 7 highly effective habits, began with the end in mind. Imagine if people got in this business thinking about, I want to have success now, but my ultimate goal is how can I have the most amount of success in 7 years from now? Imagine that. 5 years from now, if you can't think about 7, even 3 years from now. How differently would they act? They would act a lot more like a networker rather than a salesperson. And that's what we teach, right, Fernie? That's what we teach, is people how to become better networkers, not annoying salespeople.
Yeah, and even the best salespeople in the world, people don't perceive them as selling, because they're such great at networking and making the person they're speaking to the most important thing in the world. And if here's the thing, and it has to come from an authentic place. If you are truly looking after the best interest of the person you're talking to, you're not going to try your agenda is not going to be try to shove them into your business or try to like shove a bottle of vitamins in their face and say buy this. It's going to be about listening to them and seeing how it is what you have at your disposal, whether it's a business, a product, or whatever, can help them. And in order to do that, you have to listen. You have to look after their best interest first and truly, and everything else seems to kind of take care of itself.
Yeah, and with that, Fernie, I mean, one of the things that I do, and I know you're alluding to some of these things in the book, is I literally, for 9 years, I've reached out to 250 people every single month for 9 years. And when I say 250 people, I mean, I've reached out non-business related and just made friends and stayed in contact. And like, look, with Facebook Messenger and stuff, it doesn't take that long. I mean, if you did, every single day you went throughout the month and did, 10 and took off weekends, you would be right around there, 250 people. And that's not that hard. You can leave 30, 40-second, voice message, just asking, simple things maybe have in common, how they're doing and stuff. And as I started doing that and focusing on the relationships and that sort of thing, I started having a ton of success where I just never ran out of contacts. So, I mean, that's just one of many things that, that I did that you can do. That's very simple, but the key is actually just being diligent, disciplined, and making sure that you're actually doing it.
Yeah, and in the book you actually you practice your principles because a lot of as you're writing it, I'm noticing that you give constantly a lot of credit to the people you learn from, and the things you've gleaned from the way other people are. I mean, our mutual friends are all over this book. Maja and Miguel, the Pajama Bosses, John and Nadia Melton, Curtis Broom, and the list goes on and on. Where you talk about what you learned from them from an interaction you had from them, and so let's focus on one of those interactions. So you mentioned John and Nadia and social media, and so what does people think that old school network marketing is different from new school online network marketing, and what the myth you shattered that it's not. It's just people have been doing it wrong the entire time. So talk about, in the context of social media, what is the right and wrong way to network and build relationships on social media? Because people think they need to be able to recruit somebody right away, and so speak a little bit on that.
Absolutely. So, I mean, give an example. John Melton's a great example. He's a good friend now. I felt like I knew John really well because of social media, not just because of his post, but because of via Facebook Messenger. And with Facebook Messenger, him and I just had conversations, and it was never like, hey, join my business. It was never like, you got to do this or anything like that. It was just really just conversations of developing that friendship. And so when I met him in person, it was like weird almost, in the sense of, it was the first time I'd met him in person, but I felt like, hey, we had known each other forever, for years. Same thing with Evan Clausen. Evan and I had talked a ton on social media via Facebook Messenger and different things, and commented on each other's posts. And so when I met him in person, I felt like, wow, like I know this guy. And so one of the things is, make sure that when you make new friends, the first thing is when you make new friends, make sure that sorry, I've got a fly that snuck in the house. Make sure when you make new friends that you don't spam them ever, but make sure that the first thing you do is develop the relationship. So on Facebook Messenger, it will show new anytime you have a new contact. The first thing you want to do is leave a voice message for them and just connect with them. I think I left between yesterday and today 15 messages. And every single one of them was just really simple. Hey, I see that, you're from California. I grew up in Southern California. I love it there. I miss the beach. I'm excited to connect with you. I love connecting with like-minded, positive people. Excited to follow your content on social media and get to know you a little bit better. That's it. It's very similar, something like that. And that's what I'll do. And so you want to make sure that you're cultivating and developing a relationship. Because again, remember, you're thinking 3, 5, 7 years. I'm not saying there isn't an appropriate time. Sometimes it naturally comes up in conversation via Facebook messages, right? In the second conversation. Sometimes it's third, sometimes it's fifth. What I am saying though is focus on the person, focus on the relationship more, and stop focusing so much on, I got to get these people in my business right now. I got to close them. It's the whole John Maxwell quote of people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I promise you that's true. You know that's true. And so make sure that you're cultivating and make sure that you're developing those friendships and those relationships. Is, that's the same thing that John did, right? And John always does that. I always do that. And you're constantly doing that. And it doesn't take that much time. And so many times people are so focused on the short term that they end up burning themselves out. They end up sprinting and they end up burning through all their contacts and they don't have the long term. You do it right, how Fernie and I are talking, you never run out of contacts because you're always having new people that are friends on social media, and you're always developing and cultivating those relationships. And there's always a different timing for different people when it's appropriate for them. So that's what I would say, and that was my experience, which was incredible.
I loved your Ben Franklin, strategy, and I'm not going to give it away, but I noticed, I realized, I was thinking back as to when we first met in Vegas. I'm like, wait, he did that to me. You used the Ben Franklin strategy to form a connection with me, and for those of you who want to know what this is, I'm not going to have Rob explain it because that's why you need to buy his book. It's one of the most powerful techniques in the book, actually. But it's essentially how to turn an enemy, or in my case, somebody you don't know, into an instant friend and buddy. And so it was powerful. It's like, how do you take somebody that doesn't like you or maybe just doesn't know anything about you, and then turn them into your instant friend? And that technique was golden. And then I thought about it, I'm like, wait, he did that to me in Vegas.
That's the problem with writing a book. Yeah, it's like a lot of these people are like, hey, you did that to me. That was a mind trick. I'm like, no, I'm just like teaching everybody how to become better friends. But I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of that stuff. But I'm like, hey, it's purely authentic. I'm just teaching you. How I've used my authenticity. And so that's funny that you read that. That's probably been one of the top 3 principles that people, or laws that people have liked the most, that people have brought up, the Ben Franklin effect. So that's
well, because it's actionable. Anyone can do it. There's no skill set required to learn. You don't have to watch 6 modules of training. It's simple, but it's extremely effective. And so I appreciated the simplicity of it. So, Rob, anything else you want to say? I know we ran it a little long, but you're more than deserving of the extra time, because I thought everyone in our community needs to read this book. And I don't say that lightly. If people are wondering what it is they were doing wrong in old school and what they're currently doing wrong as they try to build online, that this in very clear terms will spell it out and give them strategies for correcting it. But any other insights or things you want to say before we log off?
No, I just appreciate your time. I appreciate everybody that tuned in. I appreciate those that watched and listened to the whole thing. If you do end up buying the book, and when you get the book, please tag me if you take a picture of it. Please let me know how you liked it. I try to be as responsive as possible. You can just shoot me a message on Facebook, private message or whatever, and give me your insight, good, bad, ugly. That's the only way I can get better. So you don't have to just give me the fluff of what you liked. You can tell me what you didn't like as well. I take constructive criticism pretty well most of the time, unless it comes from my wife, then I get a little defensive. So anyways, I appreciate the time, and just appreciate everything you're doing for the industry, Fernie. I mean, I don't think people realize right now, how much you're helping, and some of these, a lot of our friends as well, of really just letting people know that, the old school principles are still there. You just apply them into a modern way of doing network marketing, and it can help you so much in your business. And there's a right way and wrong way to do it. And it's just fun to have so many like-minded people like yourself, where we can just lock arms and really help each other and try to educate as many people as possible and help as many people as possible. So Thank you, Fernie. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time, and thank you everybody for tuning in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what you just said right now about that, what's old school is new school. It's like what we're doing online, whether we're in internet marketing sites, social media recruiting, is what works in the old school world. And I think people have a battle of semantics as to, don't go on the internet, don't listen to them. They're teaching you things that contradict us, when in fact it's not contradictory at all. I think it's just a battle of semantics. I heard recently that somebody at an event, a very well-known network marketer, said, "Don't build your brand, build your business." I'm like, well, isn't building credibility building a brand?
I know who you're talking about.
So it's like, it's the same thing. It's just a battle of semantics. There's nothing contradictory, and I think people need your book because you are specifying exactly what it is people do offline and online to create success, no matter what medium or technology they're using. So thank you, man. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I know exactly what you're talking about, and I don't think she'll watch this. So, but you're good. Appreciate it.
All good, man. I mean, nothing. I don't mean anything bad about what anybody said.
If people only understood that it's not taking away from building a business. It's actually enhancing it, and it's helping other people build their business. And if people only understood that, like you said, I mean, that's a great example. It's like, here's someone that's extremely successful, and it's not taking away. It's actually helping you, and it's actually helping other people, and there's so much value to it. So that's a great insight.
Yeah, I mean, building your brand is not logos. It's not having a social media profile. It's about having that credibility on a bigger scale, the way you would with the people you meet on an everyday basis. So that's why I appreciate what you're doing, man. Thank you so much for being on. Thanks, everybody. Everybody go buy The Game of Networking on Amazon.com with Rob Sperry, and leave him a review. Not only buy it, but go through it. It's not going to take you very long to go through it. And leave him a review. And Rob will be actually commenting a little later here on this live, and appreciating you guys, and he's awesome. Definitely also follow him on his fan page. Rob, I think they just could do a search on Facebook for Rob Sperry, and they'll find your fan page, correct?
Correct. It's Rob L. Sperry on the fan page, and I haven't been as active, and now I've been very active the last week or so. So looking forward to the connection with all of you.
Awesome, man. Thanks, everybody. Have an awesome day. That is a wrap. Take care.